What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today, and in this video we'll be taking a look at my collection. Today we'll be taking a look at my American Airlines Chrome fleet. So as you can tell, I have more than just the iconic Eagle Chrome livery. Some people just call it the Chrome livery. I'm not even sure if it has an official name to begin with, but in this case I'll just call it the Chrome livery. But I also wanted to include some of my other polished American aircraft because, as you can tell, I only have 4 Chrome planes, and I should have more, but more on that later, and also as to why I don't have a retro FSD video for this month, and instead it's a My Collection video. So I've got a total of 7 polished American planes, 4 in the iconic Chrome livery, and then 3 in various other liveries as well. I figured it'd be appropriate for us to take a look at the other liveries first before we get into the Chrome aircraft. So we'll start off here with this little guy, a DC-3 for American Airlines. This is by Greenbox/Aero Classics, and this is the flagship Detroit, the oldest airworthy DC-3 out there. So that's part of why I got it. I also remember my friend Connor, he took a flight on flagship Detroit a couple years back, so I was kind of inspired to get it from that as well. I admittedly take inspiration from quite a few people at times, so this is one of those examples. But it's a very nice little model here from Aero Classics. They made this back in the mid-2000s, I believe. It's a very nice model, and I hope it comes back to Sioux Falls in the future, because it did visit FSD in 2014 to celebrate the airport's 75th anniversary, even though American Airlines never flew to Sioux Falls back in the 1940s and 50s when they had these DC-3s flying around. So, but I've been fortunate enough to see one of these DC-3s. I think it was flagship Knoxville. It's the one that's in the C.R. Smith Museum, just south of DFW Airport, where American's headquarters are at. So was very fortunate to go see that plane and also go inside it. That one isn't airworthy, but they have it in the museum and they use it for special events and all that. And of course, when Airliners International went there, everybody got to go inside the plane and, walk around it, take a seat in it. It was a really cool experience. So hopefully I'll get to go back there at some point to do a more in-depth video on it. So now I'll move on to another prop aircraft. This time we have an actual proper turboprop aircraft, moving away from the piston days. So here we have the American Airlines L-188 Electra. This was released by Gemini Jets in early 2022, and I picked this up at my first Airliners International convention in Chicago. Very nice little model here from Gemini, back when they used to be on a big craze with the Electras. That started back in 2021 when they did that Eastern Airlines example, and that continued through 2022 when they did this American one, which was the first one they did that year. They then did a Northwest, a National, a Braniff one as well, and then they did an Eastern one at the start of 2023. So they've done quite a few Electras in that time frame, but since then they have not done another one in 400 scale. They did do that Western one in 200 scale back in October of 2023, which had that Delta Connection Embraer 175 in it for 400 scale. Of course, I picked that one up, and that's in my previous episode of my collections. Go check that out on my Electra fleet. And I'll move on to the last of the non-iconic Chrome aircraft. Not necessarily iconic, non-iconic rather, but this is a little less known, if you will. This is my jet flagship Retro 757 by NG. They did this back in, I think this is like 2021 or early 2022, because I got this from DG Pilot in March of 22 when I made a visit up to Minneapolis on a weekend there. Little weekend getaway that I had, which was fun. And unfortunately, this one did come with a broken horizontal stabilizer, and, the three of the NGs that I unboxed in that video, I think those are the only ones I had, too. The United 739, that came with a broken left wing. I'm trying to think of the other one. The Continental Retro, that one I did buy as a scratch indent to begin with, but thankfully that was a relatively easy fix there, alongside that United Eva Blue and also the Jet Flagship 757. So it's a very nice little model here, and unfortunately this airframe has been retired. I think it was retired well before American got rid of the rest of their 7.5 fleet in 2020 when COVID hit, and they retired that alongside the 767, 300, and the A330s, which I don't know why they got rid of the A330s, but I guess they didn't want to, it wasn't in line with what they were envisioning for the future, so they got rid of those as well, alongside their older 7.5s and 7.6s. So now we'll move on to my more iconic section for the Chrome era for American Airlines with the 1968 to 2013 livery, which I'm a bit surprised I only have 4 of them here. Again, I thought I would have had more, but I guess it's probably because of all the other liveries right here that I have. So with the Electra, DC-3, and 7.5, so that's probably where my confusion comes into play. So, you know, I'll have to get more. There's definitely a lot of options out there, and plenty of manufacturers have done some recently, so I'll be happy to pick those up in the future. NG recently did a 7.62, Phoenix did the 7.63s, and then you have other stuff like the, I don't know, just kind of anything out there that American operated. Oh yeah, I do have one more. There we go, that's much better. So now I finally got all my Chrome planes. So there's the 5th one that I have, which we'll take a look at first. This is the 747-100 that I have from Gemini Jets. I did a full retro review on this, so go check that out if you want to see more information about this particular model. But this one here, to put it simply, I got this all the way back in like 2013, somewhere around there. So it's one of my older Geminis and does have a little bit of damage with the high-frequency antennas at the wingtips there. They've been bent a little bit, but the rest of the model's in immaculate condition. I mean, this is really good. Well, I mean, yeah, the polish is going to be kind of ruined a little bit, but surprisingly, as I take a little look at it, I'm not noticing any tarnish. So that's pretty good for a model that I've had for over a decade. It is in excellent condition with at least the polish. It's a little scratched up, of course, so may have to take something to sort of repolish it, but that could risk damaging the model, so I may just leave it as is. And I also noticed there's a little gray area just behind the hump there, so not sure what that's about. If anybody knows, please leave a comment. And then here we've got my MD-80. This was released by Gemini Jets. I keep forgetting this is the first or second release, but this is one of the older releases from like 2013, 2014. I know I have the box somewhere, but I don't know where it's at in my pile here. Yeah, I got too many boxes to look through, so I'm not going to bother digging that one out, at least for the moment. But this is one of the older releases that Gemini did. I picked this up at Airliners in Chicago as well. It was $80 for this thing, so a little bit pricey, but certainly worth it because these Mad Dogs go for quite a lot of money on the secondhand market. You definitely need some more releases, and I know NG, they did some last year, earlier this year in 2024. So I was going to get one, but they didn't do one with the black nose, which is what I've been eyeing for since I already have the newer gray nose variant in my collection, and it'd be kind of redundant for me to get a second one, even though I like the American MD-80s a lot, but not as much as a good friend of mine. So I figured I'll just wait for someone to do a black nose variant, or if I come across one on the secondhand market for a good price. Then we move on to my 757-200. This is also a Gemini release. This one is the first one that they did back in 2008, which I think is the rarest out of the 3 that they did. They did one in, I think they did one not long after this one. The second one was in 2012, and I don't know when they did the third one. I think it was like a few years after that, maybe like 2013, 14, somewhere around there, maybe right around the time the new livery came out. So this first released here, definitely in much better condition than what some of the second release examples I've seen. That one has been prone to a significant amount of zinc rot, where the wings have just completely crumbled and all that. And I almost think that this one may have had zinc rot too, because if I take a look, I'm trying to remember where it's at. Oh yeah, so like just behind the wings, for instance, this one has a little bit of like paint cracking on it. The camera is not going to focus with me today. You can kind of see it there, like the paint crack there, and there's also some right on the nose. Kind of hard to see. I think it's like underneath there. It's somewhere in there, but it's not worsened in the time since I've gotten it, so I don't know if it was just a defect with the paint or something, but the cracks are very resemblant of zinc rot, so that's why I think this one may be a rotter as well. But I think in that case, the rest of the model would have been affected and not just in those little areas around the paint. So it might just be a paint application issue then in that case. So now I'll move on. Right behind that, I'll go and move the 7.5 out of the way so you can see this model a little better. This is my 707 from Gemini Jets. I got this a very long time ago as well. It's a very nice little model here, and I've been fortunate to have it for 12 years, I think. Yeah, somewhere around like 11, 12 years. I've had this for an extremely long time. This is the real metal release that they did very much a long time ago in like 2001, 2002. It's somewhere in the early 2000s. So I've had this, as I said, for a long time with it being released that long ago. And thankfully this model is in great condition. One of the few 707s that I have. I did have an Egypt Air one as well. I lost my original copy, but thankfully won it back with a clearance from PandaFox a couple years back. So happy to have that one back in the collection as well. And then the last for this My Collection episode, we have my 777. This is from NG, and this was released in, I think this was a 2022 release, if I remember right. But an NG release, my first NG 777, and so far the only one that I have in my collection. I'd like to get that Peter Max 222 that they did quite a while ago now, and I think that one's become a little hard to find, so may have to resort to scouring the secondhand market to see if it pops up, or maybe if I run into the Gemini example, which they released under the Dream Jets branding because I think they had some trouble with licensing. But either way, if I come across one or the other, I'll definitely pick it up at some point. But yeah, very nice to have this 222, and this is just a standard chrome livery, nothing to really note about with specials or, you know, special stickers or anything. So really happy that NG did this a few years back. And that, my friends, is my entire chrome collection. Now, here, this is where I would put an American Airlines Fokker 100. If I had one, sorry, I lost the happy there, but the happy's back. The happy is back. So we'll try to find one at some point, but I'm really hoping that I come across one here, or if Gemini is nice enough to do another release, though I have heard that supposedly they are not planning to do another one for quite some time. But we'll see. We'll see if their hearts change. They have a change of heart with that at some point, because I would love to have that. I need it for Retro FSD, and that's kind of why I don't have an update for this month, because I've kind of exhausted all of my options. And yeah, so if I can get a couple more Retro FSD planes in the future, I'll get back to it. But for now, this is just filler for my collection episode for this month. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.